Alright, so the name of the chapter 5, is Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness. So there is a different chapter 3 was also called Karma Yoga, but was just Karma Yoga. Here, Prabhupada has named this chapter Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness, and there is a reason. In between, the 4th chapter is sandwiched between Karma Yoga and Karma Yoga. And what is the name of chapter 4? Transcendental Knowledge. And conventionally, chapter 4 is called Jnana Karma Sannyas Yoga. So Jnana Karma Sannyas Yoga means by Jnana, the knowledge, how one practices karma. Meaning in such a way that one does renunciation without the fruit of any, without expecting any result. So, but one does fruit, one does activity. So, one is Karma Yoga, you do Karma Yoga, but that is the teachings of what is Karma Yoga. In 4th chapter, Krishna gives the knowledge how, one can do Karma Yoga in the way that one will be free from bondage. And 5th chapter, Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness. Now, with that knowledge, how one should act. So this is what, the flow of the Bhagavad Gita is. And now Krishna will speak about in 5th chapter, essential principle of not renouncing action, but renouncing inaction. So not renunciation of karma, but renunciation in karma. While doing karma, how one can be renounced. So we'll also look at the link between 4th and 5th chapter. So previous chapter 4.39, Krishna spoke about peace, and 41, Krishna spoke about karma sannyas. So karma is action, sannyas is giving up action, right? But karma sannyas, when he used that term, he meant giving up the fruit of action. But Arjun thought giving up action altogether, giving up so karma sannyas, take sannyas of karma, don't do karma. That is what he thought. So both of these, he also spoke about peace, he also spoke about karma sannyas, that you can give up your action in Arjun's thinking. And both of these coupled with Krishna not referring to fighting at all in the whole of 4th chapter, it creates a doubt in Arjun's mind, because in the end of the 4th chapter, last verse, Krishna says, Uttishtu tishta, get up and fight. So now he is confused. Now, should I fight or not fight? So again, like he asked in the 3rd chapter, first question, right? First verse, should I act or should I not act? He's asking the same thing. Should I take sannyas or do karma yoga? So that's the first verse, and then Krishna starts to answer. We'll try and finish the first section, or first section is just one verse, and then we'll do the second also. 2nd to 6th verses, karma yoga is equal to but easier than sannyas. So, and then the next section is performing Nishkama Karma Yoga, that frees one from bondage, and then liberation by focusing on the Supreme. So let's start with the first verse. You all can open your Bhagavad Gita's also, 5th chapter, verse number 1. Arjun Uvacha Sanyasam Karmanam Krishna Punar Yogam Cha Samshasi Yat Shreyaitayorekam Tanme Bruhi Sunishchitam. Somebody can read the translation, please.
Arjuna said, go ahead, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Arjuna said, "O Krishna, first of all, you ask me to renounce work, and then again you recommend work with devotion. Now, will you kindly tell me definitely which of the two is more beneficial?" Hare Krishna.
So let's look at word line by line. Arjun says, Arjun Uvacha, Sanyasam Karmanam Krishna. So sannyas is, we all know, right? Sannyas or renunciation, or equivalent to Jnana Yoga or Sankhya Yoga. All these terms are same. So sannyasam or karmanam Krishna. Should I do, sannyasam Karmanam Krishna. First you tell me to do sannyas of karma. Then punar, again, yogam cha samshasi. You ask me or you recommend to do work. Samshasi is to do work. Yat Shreya Etayorekam. In between these two, which one is more beneficial of these two? Etayorekam. One of them, please tell me. Tanme Bruhi Sunishchitam. Please tell me definitely one of them which is better for me to do. So, sannyasam karmana, first you tell me to give up my karma, and then punar yogam. Yogam here, he is meaning karma yoga. So these terms are used, we have to understand by context what these terms mean. So sannyasam karmanam, first you tell me to give up my karma. And then punar yogam, you ask me to do yoga. Now yoga is used in different contexts, different meanings. Here he is meaning karma yoga. So punar yogam, you are asking me to do karma again. So which one is more beneficial for me? Please tell me for sure. Definitely tell me. So again, he's using the word Shreya. Where has the word Shreya come before?
2.7.
2.7. You can recite the verse.
कार्पण्यदोषा उपहत्स्वभावा पृच्छामि तां धर्मसम्मूढचेतः यच्छ्रेयस्यान्निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मय शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधिमां त्वां प्रपन्नम्.
So Shreya meaning ultimate good or what is beneficial for me. Again, he's asking the same thing. It shows that he is sincere seeker. He wants to understand and then pursue the act. And Bruhi is, please tell me, Sunishchitam, definitely. So he's not simply asking because before he asked in 2.7, he had his own reasoning why he shouldn't act, right? From the Vedas. Who remembers 5 reasons he gave not to fight? Anybody remembers those 5 reasons?
Shall I tell Mataji?
Yes.
Compassion, enjoyment, sin, and society will degrade, and confusion.
Very good. Yes, 5 reasons what he gave. These should be on the tip of our fingers. Now he's again asking. So why is he asking? Because in his mind, he knew why he shouldn't be fighting because he was not sure and he wanted some higher authority to guide him properly. So our life also, there might be times where we're not sure about something. We should get spiritual help. Our Gurudev always says, if you have a material problem in life, and you look for a material solution, you might get out of that material problem at that time, but the other material solution that you've looked for can get you in a deeper material problem. So any problem that we have in this world always should be backed up with a spiritual solution. There should always be especially after we have gained so much, we're trying to gain so much knowledge, we should know. Here, Arjun also is showing by his example, always get spiritual help, spiritual guidance. Prabhupada says Arjun's confusion, he thinks sannyas or renunciation and knowledge. So we have to also be clear in these terms because Krishna is, what is the difference now between the 3rd and the 5th chapter? That's also Karma Yoga. This is also Karma Yoga, right? Krishna is taking the conversation deeper. He's going to a higher level of understanding. So unless we're clear with the foundation, it'll be difficult for us to understand what is happening now, what are these terms. So at this moment, let's focus again on what are those terms. So let's have somebody tell us what is sannyas. When Krishna says sannyas, here it says, okay. What? Yes, go ahead, Sumati ji.
I got it. So, Hare Krishna Mataji, I'm so sorry. I was unmute.
Okay, no problem. Whoever wants to. Yes, Sanjana Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
So
Krishna.
renunciation is like giving up, or I think the word means giving up. So giving up responsibilities, duties, and material attachments that we
for
have.
the higher purpose.
So simply put, giving up action, right? Renunciation. So sannyas is giving up action and karma is doing your action with knowledge. So sannyas also should be with knowledge, right? So here he thinks, Prabhupada is saying, somebody saying something? Yes, Deepa Mataji.
Mataji, just a question. Was the word sannyas used in the end of 4th chapter by Krishna?
In the end of 4th chapter by Krishna?
Yeah. Why does Arjun
First
refer to
time
sannyas?
in context, Arjun used this, not exactly the word sannyas, but giving up action. In the beginning only, he didn't want to fight. That was the context. That's where the conversation started from. I don't want to fight. That's where the whole conversation started. Should I fight or should I not fight? I don't know what my dharma is. So there is where the context started from. So where he's used the word sannyas, we can find out, but I think you're asking about the context, right?
Yeah, I'm wondering why he concluded about sannyas at this point.
Why he concluded.
Yeah, that Krishna was asking to take sannyas.
Well, because this was the link. Remember, we spoke about this. Krishna spoke about peace. Now, in Arjun's mind, peace is where you don't fight. And he himself said, I can live by begging. So begging is what sannyasis do. So that's the whole conversation and context that's going on. I don't want to fight. I can live in the jungle by begging. So that's taking sannyas, basically, giving up the worldly duties, or what your action should be as per your varna. You should be acting. You are a administrator, right? You are kshatriya, so you should be fighting. But giving it up and living by begging is taking sannyas. In that sense, in that context. All right. Yes, Sonia Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Mataji, I also think the link is in the shloka 3.30, where Krishna is saying, Mai sarvani karmani sannyasya chetasa. So
let's look at the verse. Mai sarvani karmani sannyasya chetasa. Nirashi nirmamo bhutva yuttasva vigata jvaraha.
That is the first time I think he brings up the sannyas.
Yeah, but the context has started in the 2nd chapter only. That's what I meant. Yeah, but the word we can find out where exactly it comes. Maybe it has come here in 3.30, where he says surrendering. But here he's saying surrendering on your work to me. Is this, again, in context, this sannyas does not mean give up your action, give up the action. He's meaning give up the work and surrender unto me. So surrendering unto me.
So he's using the word sannyas like a verb almost, right? Like almost like not as the person sannyas, but more like a verb, like the action of renunciation.
Sannyasi also has come. So, I mean, if we want to go back and get reference, I don't know exactly where it has come, but yes, it has come. And it'll come more in the 6th chapter, where he's totally going to talk about sannyasis doing dhyana yoga. Right? So he's going to bring up that concept also, and we're going to reach there soon, where he talks about those people who are renunciants, who give up action totally, and they take sannyas and they go to the jungle, and how they perform their action, their work also is given. How they do their sadhana also is given in detail. So that also is coming for sure. So Prabhupada says he thinks that sannyas, Arjun is thinking that sannyas or renunciation knowledge should be altogether free from all karma. And work and renunciation appear to him to be incompatible. So either I work or I renounce is what Arjun is thinking. He appears not to have understood work in full knowledge is non-reactive. So and Krishna has spoken about this, if you work, with renunciation, with the mood of renunciation, without attachment or with detachment, there will not be any bondage. So now he inquires again, therefore, whether he should cease work altogether or work with full knowledge. And that brings us to the next verse. Now Krishna has started to answer. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Sanyasaha Karma Yogascha Nishreyasya Karav Ubho Tayortu Karma Sanyasat Karma Yoga Vishishyate. Somebody can read.
The personality of Godhead replied, the renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation. But of the two, the work for devotional service is better than renunciation of work.
So let's look at line by line. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Sannyasa Karma Yogascha. So the renunciation of work, which is sannyasa, and work. And Prabhupada has used, wherever Krishna says Karma Yoga, Prabhupada has used the word work and devotion, because ultimately Karma Yoga culminates, or if one does Karma Yoga properly with knowledge, surrendering all his work to Krishna, ultimately it becomes Bhakti Yoga only. So that's where Prabhupada's compassion, wherever a person opens the Bhagavad Gita, he might not read the whole thing, but wherever he opens, he should get bhakti, is where Prabhupada's compassion has led him to bring bhakti everywhere in each purport. So, but let's look at word by word. Here, Krishna has not per se introduced bhakti. So he is comparing karma yoga and sannyas. So where Krishna says sannyasa karma yoga sha, so the renunciation of work and working, doing karma yoga, cha, both of them, both lead to the path of liberation. Nishreya karav ubho, both of them lead to liberation. Tayostu karma sannyasat, but in comparison, but two is but. Karma sannyasat, renunciation in work of work, and karma yoga vishishyate, between karma sannyasat, between giving up all your work, which is sannyas, and karma yoga, which is higher. Karma yoga is higher. Vishishyate means is better, is higher. Higher in the sense, or better in the sense, in the way of practicing. It is easier. And he'll explain this in 5.6. But here he's just telling between the two, if you're asking me, it is better. Karma yoga is better. So let's understand again. Sankhya yoga or Jnana yoga or Karma Sannyas, they all are same, which means analytical study of material body and soul. Analysis of temporary material world leads to detachment from material activities, where Jnana yogis go by na iti process, by systematically negating everything that is not true. That is not the true self. The practitioner aims to reach a state of awareness or understanding of the ultimate reality. Such knowledge ultimately leads one to find Krishna, who is the root of everything. So in the process of Gyan Yoga, what they do is they analyze. Analytical study is there, which is studying a lot and understanding that material is different than spiritual. And then in spiritual also, going to the root is after many, many lifetimes. It's not easy to understand. So who is supreme? They come to that understanding after a long time. So practically, if we see, what does Sankhya Yoga or Jnana Yoga or Karma Sannyas mean? Every time you hear Karma Sannyas, don't get confused. It is just think karma is action and sannyas is giving up. So giving up action. It is Jnana Yoga or Sankhya Yoga. So should I stop sowing the tree? Or sowing the seed, basically, not the tree. If I shouldn't be acting, because I'm not this body. I have understood from the scriptures that spiritual is the way to live life. This material is temporary. Everything is going to perish. Ultimately, my body also is going to perish. So I shouldn't be acting at all. I should give up everything and I should just pursue understanding the spiritual self. So this is what Gyan Yoga process entails. So they give up sowing the seed, meaning they give up working altogether. So practically here we're looking at the example of sowing the seed or planting a tree. And Karma Yoga is doing prescribed action or work as a form of yoga to connect with the absolute truth. Here again, Krishna is not introduced. So Karma Yoga will be, I'm not this body, I'm not material. There is higher than material, which is spiritual. So let me understand that. I'll keep doing my duty, but I'll be detached with the knowledge that I'm temporary. And there is a higher truth, and I need to connect to that higher truth. So then people start doing Karma Yoga. That is the process where they will sow the seed, they will plant the tree, but they will not expect the fruit. So yeah, this is simple to understand. In Jnana Yoga, action is given altogether. And in Karma Yoga, action is done, but there is detachment from the fruit. Yeah, simple so far? Okay, so Krishna says, both karma sannyas and karma yoga prevent attachment, and to the extent there is no attachment, there is no bondage. See, what has Krishna said in the verse? He says, the renunciation of work and work in devotion or karma yoga are both good for liberation. But of the two, work in devotion or karma yoga is better than renunciation of work. Why? Because, and he'll explain in 5.6. So, but here he says that both are same. Because both lead to nishreyasya karo. Both lead to long-term good, to the path of liberation, which is eternally good. So it's not a matter of moral dilemma where one is wrong and one is right? Where Arjun is saying, should I do this or should I do this? It is not that one is wrong and one is right, or one is bad and one is good. It is a question of which one is better. Should I do this or should I do this? So both are good, but which one is better? So it's a choice of good and better. So Karma Yoga, Vishishyate, Krishna says Karma Yoga is better. Because it is easier to practice, is what Krishna will elaborate in 5.6. Prabhupada says, fruitive activities seeking sense gratification are cause of material bondage. Activities aimed at improving bodily comforts. Different types of bodies are there. So he's brought in from the Bhagavatam in the 5th canto, many verses Prabhupada has quoted. If you look at the purport, he says these verses are quoted, which and the definition is, translation is also there. People are mad after sense gratification. I want this, and this is how I want to fulfill my senses or sense gratification. And they do not know that this present body, which is full of miseries, is a result of one's fruitive activities in the past. Although this body is temporary, it is always giving one trouble in many ways. Therefore, to act for sense gratification is not good. One is considered to be a failure in life as long as he makes no inquiry about his real identity. As long as he does not know his real identity, he has to work for fruitive results, for sense gratification. And as long as one is engrossed in the consciousness of sense gratification, one has to transmigrate from one body to another. Although the mind may be engrossed in fruitive activities and influenced by ignorance, one must develop a love for devotional service to Vasudeva. Only then can one have the opportunity to get out of bondage of material existence. So you can read all these notes later. And here is a comparison of the same example and what does Bhakti Yoga mean. So we sow the tree without expecting the fruit, and whatever I get, I offer it to Krishna with knowledge that Krishna is my worshipable Lord. All right, so another example. For example, so you find or somebody finds, these four kind of people find a wallet on the ground. There is nobody around, and it is like somebody's wallet which has fallen, and there's nobody around. Now, what does that person do? One person can take it and keep it. Well, if I don't take it, somebody will take it. There's lots of, I can see it's like loaded with so much money. So if I just leave it here, somebody else will utilize it. So better I just take it. That is Sakam Karma, or doing for one's own benefit. Doing action and thinking of the fruit of enjoying the action. Then there is Gyan Yoga. This is not mine, and the person just walks off, doesn't do anything about it. Right? He just walks off. And also, there's no bondage because it's not yours. You didn't do anything. There is no bondage there. And Karma Yoga, you take the wallet and you give the money to some people who need it. Right? Because here you see you're not attached. You're doing action, but there is no attachment to the fruit, to the result, to the fruits. And Bhakti Yoga is the person takes it to the cops and says, okay, this is what I found. You can figure out whose it is and give it back to them. That is Bhakti Yoga. We utilize whatever we have in the material world in the service of the one who is the real owner, Krishna. He's the real owner. And he's the one who also says in the 5th chapter, he says, Bhoktaram Yagya Tapasama. I'm the one who's the enjoyer. So give it back to him. Yes, Mohini Preeti Mataji.
Mataji, normally the third one, the Karma Yoga, isn't it Sakama Karma? Doing a good activity.
No.
Yeah,
Karma
because
Yoga.
you're doing.
Go ahead.
Achha, no, I got confused with Sakama Karma because that person is doing a good activity of doing something good to giving it to needy person. So I got confused with Sakama Karma.
Karma is karma done with the expectation of getting something in return. Don't confuse it with good karma. Sakama karma doesn't mean good karma.
Okay.
That is sukarma, not sakarma. Remember?
Achha.
Sukarma is different and vikarma is doing bad. Right? Vikarma also we can bring in another picture here where he uses the money to get drugs. That's now vikarma. Right? Or using it to get some weapons and, whatever, something bad. That's vikarma. Sukarma is doing good karma, which is also the third one, karma yoga. But here, yeah, the person is not attached to that money. That's why there is no bondage. Wherever there is attachment, there'll be bondage. Like the
Mataji?
first one, use the money for myself. That there's bondage. And the last one also, there is no bondage.
Mataji,
Yes.
just here, can we tell Sukarma as if she is giving her money, her own earned money, will that be Sukarma instead of this? Because this is not her money, right? She found it and she's not taking, she's giving away.
So this is also comes in the category of sukarma also.
Sukarma.
One can be in,
It's a good karma. Okay.
yeah, good karma only because
Okay.
she's, and karma yoga also because there is no attachment involved.
Attachment. Okay. She's giving away. Yes, Mataji.
Thank you.
Any other question here in this screen?
Thank you for this slide, Mataji. It's very clear now, all the concepts. Thank you for this
Mataji, it is a
example.
beautiful example. Beautiful example.
Okay, let's keep going. Here also another example where the things in this world are utilized for our own enjoyment. So there is bondage there, where people are using the mic to sing their own glories or some other people's glories and finding pleasure there. So there's bondage. Anything we do in this world where there is any kind of attachment to enjoying for our own senses, there is bondage. And the other one you see, people are singing also doing kirtan, but for the enjoyment of Krishna, and there is no bondage there. Prabhupada says, renunciation is complete when it is in knowledge that everything is in existence belongs to the Lord and that no one should claim proprietorship over anything. So when the money comes, one person, non-devotee, will think, I have earned it, so it is all mine. But the devotee will think that it is called Krishna's money, and let me just offer it back or use it in Krishna's service. 5.3. Neyasa nitya sannyasi yona dveshti na kankshati nidvando hi mahabaho sukham bandhat pramuchyate. Somebody can read the translation, please.
One who neither hates nor desires the fruits of his activities is known to be always renounced. Such a person, free from all dualities, easily overcomes material bondage and is completely liberated, O mighty armed Arjuna.
So see what Krishna is doing. 5.1, Arjuna asks, which one is better for me? Giving up action or doing action? So doing sannyas or doing karma? Which one is good for me? And Krishna has started from 5.2 saying both of them. He says, between the two of them, both of them are ubhayor. Both of them will lead to nishraya, will lead to long-term benefit. But out of the two, karma yoga is better. And he'll tell about why it is better in 5.6. Now, next verse, he says, one who neither hates or nor desires the fruit of his activities is known to be always renounced. So both of them, in Jnana Yoga also or sannyas, there is no desire for the fruit of activities. Karma Yoga also, there is no desire for fruit of activities. So such a person who's doing either or, free from all dualities, easily overcomes material bondage and is completely liberated. So he's comparing both of them and telling the similarity of both of them, right? Over here. So over here, you see the one who's left. This is not mine, doesn't belong to me. He's not attached. Second one also, he takes it and gives it to somebody needy, not attached. So both of them, there is no bondage. Karma sannyas, one who gives up action and becomes a renunciant. So renunciate is to give up, and renunciant is a noun. Renunciate is a verb. Renunciant is the one who has given up. So one who gives up action and becomes a renunciant, that's a karma sannyasi. And nitya sannyasi is a word that Krishna has used. Neyasa nitya sannyasi, one who neither hates, yo na dveshti na kankshati, one who neither hates nor hankers, desires the fruit of his activities. Such a person is known to be, Sa Nitya Sannyasi is known to be always renounced or always detached, always in a disposition of detachment. So he's a new word Krishna has introduced, Nitya Sannyasi, one who by internal disposition of detachment is always renounced. So that while doing karma, one is not craving for any good result. And that's why even if the result is contrary, there is no resentment. Hence, one is not bound in illusion due to knowledge that whether I get something or I don't, the material dualities are insubstantial because happiness is not found in such things. So the dualities don't end, but one raises one's consciousness to a height where one doesn't perceive the dualities. And we've done this example, we've taken this example before also. One is on the road, which is really bumpy. There are dualities in life, and one will feel sometimes happy, sometimes really sad, sometimes happy, sometimes really, really sad and depressed. But one who's traveling in an airplane doesn't, although it's the same path, right, but will not feel any bumps or any wavering of happiness and distress. You'll see that such a person who's deeply rooted in spiritual life will not be so happy and will not be so sad. There's always an equilibrium. It's always peaceful because he's getting that happiness or higher satisfaction from within, not from outside world, not from the material world. So, if you perform your karma with a spirit of renunciation without any attachment or aversion to results, then you are as good as a sannyasi in spirit. So here one person is planting a tree, myself and my family will eat the fruit of this tree, and the other person is just taking names of Krishna and offering it. Whatever fruit will come, he'll be offering to Krishna. One should understand that nothing belongs to us anyway. This is really important. What is it that I will renounce, because everything belongs to Krishna anyway? Krishna is the real owner. One might say, okay, I'm renouncing this world and going, but what is it that you are really going to renounce, right? Nothing belongs to you anyway. I'm a spirit soul, part of Krishna, and I'm staying in this material body for a temporary while. Whatever experience that I encounter on an external level because of having this material body, they are all temporary. I don't hate them and I don't love them. Prabhupada says, always a renouncer, because one who is in Krishna consciousness is always a renouncer because he feels neither hatred nor desire for the results of his actions, fully qualified in knowledge because he knows his constitutional position in relationship with Krishna. As the part and parcel, part never can become whole. So we are Anu, Krishna is Vibhu. We are small, Krishna is great. In quantity, we are small and he is so great. But in quality, we are exactly the same. And what is the quality? Who can tell us? Of the soul, which is exactly like Krishna's?
Soul is eternal.
Yeah, it's a breakup of 3 words. What is the quality or characteristic of
Satchit
soul?
Anand. Satchit Anand.
Satchidananda. Yeah, which is exactly like Krishna's. So how Krishna conscious person is a true sannyasi, has perfect transcendental knowledge. Result of perfect transcendental knowledge is that he's liberated even in the material world. So while he's doing all these pictures, the picture is really very sweet. Whether we're chanting, we want to focus only on Krishna's names. Whether we're cleaning, whether we're cooking, whether we're giving class or listening in the class, whether we're driving, we want a Krishna conscious person is always thinking of Krishna. Verse number 4. Sankhya yoga prithak balaha pravadanti na panditaha ekam apyas astita samyag ubhayor vindate phalam. Somebody can read.
Only the ignorant speak of devotional service, Karma Yoga, as being different from the analytical study of material world, Sankhya. Those who are actually learned say that he who applies himself well to one of these paths achieves the result of both.
So let's look at the word by word. Sankhya yoga prithak bala. So now again, what is Sankhya? Quickly, if somebody can unmute and tell us
Jnana,
Sankhya.
jnana.
Jnana or sannyasa also.
Renunciation from activities.
Karma sannyasa.
Yeah. And what is yoga?
Practice.
Karma yoga.
Doing your karma in devotion.
Yeah, karma yoga. So now Krishna is saying sannyas or sankhya and yoga, prithak bala. They are different. Bala is a childish person. So pravadanti na pandita. Sankhya and yoga are different. A bala or a childish person thinks like that. And pravadanti na pandita. Pandita or a wise person does not say like this. Ekam apyastita samyag. Even if one is situated completely in one of the process, ubhayor vindate phalam. He enjoys the result of both of them. So beautiful concept Krishna has again introduced. Sankhya Yoga Prithak Bala. Sankhya is Sankhya Yoga. Yoga is, Krishna means Karma Yoga. Prithak is different and Bala is childish or less intelligent. So only the less intelligent people think that Sankhya and Yoga are different. So, well, they are. But when Krishna is comparing them and talking about how you can get the result of both, because they're different, and Krishna is saying they're both, right? how is it that they're same? So let's understand this. What is Bala? Bala is childish without much discrimination or intelligence without much depth or maturity. So people can be, when children act childish, they look sweet. But when adults act childish, that looks immature, right? That doesn't look cute. Both Sankhya Yoga and Karma Yoga are same, though the process may be different. So let's look at what is Sankhya Yoga again. Rise to spiritual level of consciousness by recognizing the material illusion of all material activities or attractiveness. It is a path of discrimination, analysis, contemplation, and inaction. And what is Karma Yoga? Based on doing one's duties, action, and focusing on detachment through unattachment to one's results of action. So we're bringing these terms again and again and looking at the definition again and again, so it's very clear. So Bala, childish person only sees the difference in process, but not the Pandita, who's learned, who sees the commonality of their purpose. So the Pandita does not see the process. He sees what is the purpose of both, to go beyond matter to spirit and realize one's true identity, to become situated in spiritual reality. Right? So both the processes lead to the same destination, which is liberation, going beyond material world, creating no bondage for ourselves. Both of them do the same thing. So a childish person will say, oh, these two are different. But because they're only seeing the process, how the process is different. But a wise person sees the commonality. This is what Krishna is saying. So ekam apyastita samyak, even if one is situated completely or like in Jnana Yoga, totally detached. Not that he's taken sannyas, but still attached to the material. Not that person, one who's totally detached and now completely focusing on understanding the Supreme. And then Karma Yogi, who's also totally detached, doing his karma, but surrendering it to a higher absolute truth. So both of them, even if you are situated completely in one, you will enjoy the fruit, both the results of both. The results of both is the same, actually, right? Free from bondage and liberation. Another example, the process of Ayurveda and allopathy is different, right? One might, who's following Ayurveda very sincerely, might criticize allopathy in so many ways. And people who following allopathy or taking some medication in allopathy, they might criticize or find faults in Ayurveda. But what is the purpose? Both of them want to rid or free a patient from the disease. So the process might be different, but the destination is the same. Procedure of treatment may be different, but purpose is the same, to bring the patient out of disease to proper health. So process of the paths may be different, but purpose is same, to free the person from bondage and take one towards spiritual destination. Prabhupada says, everyone is seeking Krishna, for he is the super soul of all individual souls. Finding the root, Sankhya, the aim is to find the soul of existence, which is Vishnu or super soul. Watering the root is what devotional service is, service to the super soul. So in Jnana Yoga, one is finding the root, but in Bhakti Yoga or devotional service or Nishkama Karma Yoga, straight action is done, which is watering the root. The real Sankhya person finds the root and then in knowledge waters the root. So there is no difference between the two. We'll do two more verses, 5.5. Yat Sankhya prapyate sthanam tad yogerapi gamyate ekam sankyam cha yogam cha yah pashyati sapashyati.
One who knows that the position reached by means of renunciation can also be attained by the works in devotional service and who therefore sees that the path of works and the path of renunciation are one, sees things as they are.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, Yat Sankhyaye Prapyate Sthanam. Krishna says the destination, what position or place or result. Sankhyaye Prapyate. Prapyate is to achieve. So, what Sankhya will achieve, Sthanam, that place, will be achieved by doing Sankhya or Sannyas or Gyan, Yoga. Tad yogerapi gamyate. That one will achieve in the process of yoga also. So here Sankhya is sannyas and yoga is karma yoga, right? The second line. Ekam sankhyam cha yogam cha. So both to be equal, one who sees both to be equal, Sankhya and yoga, yah pashyati sa pashyati. That person actually sees. The one who sees like this actually sees. Yeah, beautiful verse, right? Let's look at this. When done with detachment, both these paths can free one from bondage. So yoga and Sankhya. Yoga is by means of karma yoga or devotional service. Sankhya is by means of Sankhya philosophy. In yoga, path of action based on karma yoga. This is path of intellectual introspection and inaction based on jnana. Authentic detachment, but one still acts in the world. Authentic detachment by which one renounces the worldly activities. So if a person sees both of them as same, Krishna says, actually sees. If one person sees them as equal, actually sees, right? One who sees like this actually sees. Why? Because they both lead to freeing one from bondage and bringing them to higher spiritual reality. So here, one who pashyati sees, sa is he, pashyati is actually sees. Whatever destination is reached by practicing Jnana Yoga can be reached by practicing Karma Yoga also, which is liberation. One who sees like this is a true seer because he sees with knowledge. This example is given by our one of the lectures that I heard long back. Example was given, and we've taken this, I think, earlier. You're driving on a freeway and your car starts to make a lot of noise and just stops. So you have on a side, on a freeway, you cannot really stop your car, but you have to because it's not working. So on a side, you've stopped your car and you open the bonnet, but you cannot understand anything, right? I will not understand anything because I have zero knowledge about computers also, gadgetry, whatever. That engine, I will not make sense of anything. Where the noise is coming from, how to make it go away. So then I call AAA and the person comes from there and he has a little hammer and he, goes like this and the noise goes away. I take this example in India, okay? The person from this mechanic is called, and he uses his hammer and he, taps somewhere and the noise goes away and he asks for, okay, this example now I remember given by Gaurang Prabhu. And this person is now asking for 1,000 rupees. Okay, 1,000, 10,000 is too much. 1,000 rupees. And the person who owns the car, he says, 1,000 rupees just for using your hammer? This is too much. So the person says, okay, yes, I used the hammer, but I knew where to use it. The 10 rupees is to use my hammer, but the 990 rupees is to know where to tap the hammer. So this is the knowledge that mechanic had, but I did not have. Although they're seeing the same thing, right? They're seeing the same engine. But the mechanic has more knowledge from past. That's why he's using that knowledge to connect now, and he's seeing things as they are. That person is actually seeing because he has knowledge, right? Another example, seeing with knowledge, what we can know depends on what we know from the past, because one needs reference to connect. If we see an X-ray, unless there is a big breakage of bone, we might not understand But X-rays can reveal so many things, and only a doctor can see, because that doctor has knowledge. So with knowledge, one person can see as things as they are. So Jnana Yoga is like digging and digging, for example, the same example of a tree, then finding out, oh, there are roots here, the source of the tree. And if I water here, the tree will get nourished, right? But Karma Yoga, one knows from authority that there are roots underneath, and what starts watering the root without going through the elaborate process of digging without damaging. So if we want the plant to flourish, either we can find out, okay, where we have to put the water. Person starts digging in this Jnana Yoga process and finding out, okay, there are roots. So finding out, oh, I am not this body, I am soul, I am spirit soul. There is something deeper here going on, and analytically finding out all of that. But in Karma Yoga, we already know by authority, and we start pouring the water in the roots without doing the elaborate process of digging. So Jnana Yoga, through analytical study and studying, finding that the body is like a tree, and underneath there is something deeper. There is soul. So I'm not this body, and then finding out, oh, there is a sense of existence also here, which is the super soul. Whereas in Karma Yoga, one immediately starts to act at the level of soul with detachment and in a mood of sacrifice, understanding that there is higher reality and absolute truth beyond this material realm. And then Bhakti Yoga, I'm not this body, I'm a soul, part of Krishna. So I have to act not just in a mood of sacrifice, but in a mood of divine sacrifice for the pleasure of Krishna. So you see the subtle difference between Karma Yoga, where a person might not know Krishna is the supreme, but he's still doing his work with detachment and knowing there is some higher absolute truth. And in Bhakti Yoga, a person already knows it is Krishna, and the mood is of sacrifice and giving pleasure to Krishna. Everything I do, I want to please Krishna. Whether I speak, whether I'm singing, whether I'm dancing, whether I'm in my office, whether I'm eating also, it is for pleasure of Krishna, because this is prasadam. It is honored by Krishna. So when I partake of the prasadam, it brings pleasure to Krishna. Like the gopis, they would do everything for Krishna's pleasure. Even when they used to dress up nicely, it was for Krishna's pleasure, not for their own pleasure. In the ultimate sense, Karma Yoga culminates in Bhakti Yoga only, if one understands what is real karma or work of the spirit soul. Then Karma Yoga becomes Bhakti Yoga. Renunciation in complete sense is understanding who is the proprietor of everything and engage in his service. And then Karma Yoga becomes Bhakti Yoga. You can read the notes by Prabhupada in the purport. The aim of analytical study of the material world is to find the soul of existence. The soul of material world is Vishnu, or the super soul. Now from 5.3 to 5.5, how both Karma Sannyas and Karma Yoga lead to long-term good, which is liberation. In 5.2, Krishna said Karma Yoga is better, remember? But 5.3 to 5.5, Krishna is comparing both of them and telling how both of them lead to ultimate good. Now Krishna will reiterate the point he made in 5.2, how Karma Yoga is better. So let's look at the verse. Sannyāsastu mahabaho dukkham aptum ayogyataha yoga yukto muni brahma na chirena adhigacchati. Somebody can read the translation.
Merely renouncing all activities yet not engaging in the devotional service of the Lord cannot make one happy. But a thoughtful person engaged in devotional service can achieve the supreme without delay.
So sannyāsastu mahabaho. When one does sannyas, but when one does sannyas, O Mahabaho, O Arjuna, O mighty armed one, dukkham aptum ayogata. One is afflicted with distress because it is done ayogata, without yoga or without action. Yoga yukto munir brahma. On the other hand, if a munir is a thinker or a intelligent muni person or a wise person. On the other hand, if a muni is yoga yukta, with yoga, engaged in activity, what will happen to him? Brahma na chirenadhi gachati. He will achieve Brahma without delay or very quickly. So he's comparing the two now, Jnana Yoga, and in Jnana Yoga, because there is ayogata, without there is no action. But in yoga, karma yoga, there is action. There is yoga yukta. The muni is wiser, is wise, or he's great thinker, and he does action also. He achieves Brahma very quickly. So although in Jnana Yoga there is no bondage due to detachment, but because there is ayogataha, no connection with the absolute truth through one's activities. Yoga is action, right? This is what in context it's used over here. Yoga will mean no action. Because there's no connection with the absolute truth through one's actions, there is no satisfaction and one does not experience higher pleasure. It is very dry. Jnana Yoga is very dry process. It's very, because it's speculative. One is not engaged in action. So it's very, very dry. One is neither here nor there. So dukkham aptum ayogata, being constitutionally Sachidananda, one is always seeking pleasure, right? This is the constitution position of the soul. It's always Ananda, is always seeking pleasure. So although one has given up pleasure in the material level, but has not found spiritual pleasure due to being inactive spiritually. In that situation, being without pleasure, the soul is miserable. That's why Krishna has used the word dukkham. He is distressed because there is no higher pleasure there. And on the other hand, a yoga yukto is a muni. On the other hand, one who is yoga yukta, connected through yoga or activity, he is muni, contemplative, thoughtful. He has enlightened vision even while engaged in material world. He's contrasting with one who is inactive. Krishna is contrasting both of them and comparing. So here are points of comparison. Mayavadi sannyasis or renunciates and work in devotion or Vaishnav sannyasis, between the two sannyasis. You can go through all of this later, but we've covered most of the points. A small video of a small child. He is yoga yukta, or he's engaged in bhakti yoga actually. This is, I think, Delhi temple. And he's so happy just distributing Krishna's books. Such a small child and engaged in all these devotional activities. Are there any questions so far? We'll come to our activity also, but any questions? Okay, so the activity for today is discussing the pastimes and writing a comparative analysis with context to Karma Yoga or Bhakti Yoga and Karma Sannyas. So here we have stories of the first one is, who can tell us the first picture? Pastime of? So the chakra was following this
Ambarish
Muni,
Maharaj.
Ambarish Maharaj. Yes. So he was obviously in Bhakti Yoga, but there are two more pictures. One Muni for who this
This is
Vishwamitra.
Vishwamitra and Vishwamitra.
Yes. And the other one?
Other is Yogi in the river.
In the river, yogi who's doing meditation.
Bharat.
So Bhari Muni.
Bharat.
Sabri Muni.
Yeah. So
Fish
both
is
of
there.
them again fell down. So they were in the process of, they had taken sannyas, but because they were not engaged or acting in this world for pleasing Krishna, there was no action involved. They were just dry speculation or meditation. That's why they fell down again. So either of these two you can take and compare it. So compare that sannyas yoga to, Gyan Yoga to Bhakti Yoga, which is Ambarish Maharaj was doing, and you have to write a comparative analysis between both the two. So any questions for the activity? How are they different? What procedure they followed? What was their destination? Like that, you can, although both destinations would be same in the process, but it takes a longer time for the Gyan Yogi. Lifetimes or so many years for the Gyan Yogi. But for the Bhakti Yogi, because he's already engaged in the process of pleasing Krishna, it is faster. So I gave you one. This can be one of the analysis, and you can write more from the class today or from your knowledge from before. So 1 second. Any questions for the activity? Or again, from the class?